Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of GM Sports Report, your weekly podcast on all things sports. Um, Mason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Grant. How are you?
I'm doing good. Everyone, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We said last week that we wanted to start making more videos, so this is going to be the start of that. This will be our
hmm
second upload this week, and this is going to be a very special edition because the NFL wild card is this weekend, and we got a lot of games to talk about. So we're going to do a deep dive on that. So yeah.
Cool.
All right. So, since that's what we're talking about today, we're going to start with the first game of the NFL wildcard, which is the Chargers at the Texans. Mason, what are your thoughts on this game? Who do you think's going to win? What do you think the factors are? Like, what are you thinking about this game?
So, kind of just looking at everything, stat wise, just pretty much everything like that, numbers. Um, the Chargers are, the favored to win by 3. So, I think the Chargers are gonna win. There's nothing that's kind of really pulling me towards too much either way. I think they're both just very even teams as far as, just playoff caliber, I guess, situations. So, like I said, nothing really stands out to me. I know Herbert's got a little bit more of a connection with some of his guys. Um, but, CJ Stroud also has a couple guys that he leans towards. So, should be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun little game, but I also agree on the fact that
Mhm.
I think the Chargers are going to win. You look at the Chargers, their big thing right now is the Justin Herbert and Lad McConkey connection. It's been phenomenal. McConkey has
Yeah.
had a season of 82 receptions, 1,149 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So he's had a phenomenal season.
Right.
But I think that the key factor for the Chargers, if they want to have any noise in this playoffs, is a healthy J.K. Dobbins. When J.K. Dobbins was
Yeah.
healthy at the start of this season, he was absolutely phenomenal. He got a little banged up, but he finished this year with 195 carries for 905 yards and 9 touchdowns. A lot of that was coming before his injury. So I think you get a full health J.K. Dobbins. That just opens your game even more and makes your offense that much better and takes that much more eyes off of Vlad McConkey to open more things up. And another thing is, you
Right.
talked about it this last week. Quentin Johnson, who was originally supposed to be the wide receiver
Yeah.
one, is coming off a very good week.
Mhm.
Maybe that gets his confidence up again, and you get another legit offensive weapon for Justin Herbert to use this upcoming week. So, yeah, when I look at the Chargers, I think those are their keys. I look at the Texans right now. They're kind of an underwhelming team. 1-2 in their
Yeah.
last 3 games. CJ Stroud this season has had a very lackluster sophomore season in my eyes. 336 completions for 3,727 yards. Last season, he had 4,108 yards. He has a 20 touchdown to 12 interception ratio, when last year he had 23 touchdowns for 5 interceptions. This
Mhm.
season, he has an 87 passer rating, while his rookie season, he had a 100.8 passer rating. So he's had a very lackluster season, but I will say the Texans have struggled with their health. Obviously, they lost Diggs, they lost Collins for a little bit of that season, and now
Tank Dell.
obviously Tank Dell is out for the rest of the
Yeah.
year, and Joe Mixon's been in and out of that lineup. So it's not all on him, but due to those factors, I don't see them winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either of these teams, if they win this game, are going to make it too far into the playoffs. I can see them both getting knocked out divisional round, so it's kind of just like a good notch on the belt for them.
See, I think that the Chargers are actually a sleeper team. I can see them making a little bit of noise. It depends. I have to see it this week. If they come out and just straight
Right.
dominate, I could see them winning another playoff game. But if it's like a close, like tight race, I don't see them making much noise either.
Yeah. I mean, another thing, it really just depends on who they play against,
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
All right. So we both have the Chargers. Just get that on the record.
hmm
All right. Next game we have is a rivalry game, which is the Steelers and the Ravens. So I'll let you break that
Yep.
down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is just gonna come down to the battle of the defenses. Both have phenomenal defenses. Steelers are gonna have a lot more to work with, I guess, against the Ravens because Ravens have juggernaut of offense going. Lamar
Mhm.
Jackson, probably leading the MVP race right now. And then Derrick Henry, second in rushing yards behind a historic Saquon Barkley season. So And then Zay Flowers has been having it hasn't been amazing, but I mean it's been pretty good. 1,000
Right.
receiving yards and 4 touchdowns on 74 receptions. So I mean, um, it's definitely going to be a lot more for the Steelers defense to kind of stop rather than the Ravens defense having to stop the Steelers, because the Steelers have lost 4 of the last 5 games. So they're definitely going to have to prove it to themselves on why they deserve to be in this spot. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing I got for this game.
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. You look at the Steelers; they're just a team that kind of started out really well, but has dropped off as of
Yep.
late. They're 0-4 in their last 4 games. And another big thing is since George Pickens has come back from injury, which has been these last
Hmm.
2 games, he's had 4 catches for 50 yards. Excuse me, 4 catches for 50 yards. And last week he had 1 reception for 0 yards. So
Yeah.
he doesn't even look like he's interested in playing half the time. Um, I don't know. It seems like a problem waiting to happen, especially going into a
Right.
playoff run. And like you were saying, the Ravens, they're just a team that's built for the playoffs. They have that
Hmm.
juggernaut offense that can run the football, which that's what you need in a playoff game, is a team that can run the football. And you got a really solid defense around him. And like you said, Zay Flowers hasn't been phenomenal, but he's gotten the job done as their wide receiver 1 this
Yep.
year and done more than enough. So I think this isn't going to be much of a challenging game for the Ravens. I see them winning this pretty easily. Not to mention last time they faced the Ravens did win 34-17, and they're going to be at home for this game. So
Yeah, it's a 9.5 point spread. So they
yeah,
it's a pretty big deficit as far as betting wise. So
yeah, 100%. All right, so now we're going to slide into another game, which is the Broncos at the Bills. It's going to be a fun one.
uh
Who do you got winning that?
this is another one with a pretty steep spread with the Bills of 8.5 favorite. So I have the Bills winning just purely off of experience. Josh Allen and that Bills just team in general has been battle tested. Um, they've played the Chiefs. I think they beat the Chiefs actually. I can't remember. I think they did. And then Broncos is they're just a young team. Bo Nix is a great quarterback. I think he's definitely up there in the conversation with Jane Daniels as far as rookie of the year.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean that you can't count out Josh Allen when it comes to the playoffs. I know they've come short every year it seems like in the AFC Championship to the Chiefs, but I think they're just a great team overall, and yeah, I think they'll win this game.
Yeah. Real quick, I just do want to shout out the Broncos because to me,
Yeah.
I don't know if to you, they're the biggest surprise for me that made it into the playoffs this year. I think going into the season, no one really saw them making it as far as they've made it so far. I want to shout out Bo Nix, who's had a phenomenal rookie season,
Hmm.
3,775 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Absolutely phenomenal. And you have Cortland Sutton, who's been a phenomenal wide receiver 1 over there with 81 receptions, 1,081 yards, and 8 touchdowns. But kind of like what you were saying, they're a young team, not a lot of experience in the playoffs with this group of players. And they're
Yeah.
going against probably one of the scariest teams to face right now in the playoffs, which is the Buffalo Bills, who are 13 and
Yeah.
4, and they have experience, and they have a legit MVP candidate in Josh Allen. They're at home. I just
Hmm.
see this being an easy win for the Buffalo Bills. Um, yeah, but shout out to the Broncos for making it as far as they have.
Yeah. I mean, another thing too is I'm looking at the stats that the Bills have, and like their leading receivers only has 821 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's Khalil Shakir. So
Yeah,
and James Cook only has 1,009 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns though, that which is amazing. But I mean, it's really just been all in the back of Josh Allen, 28 touchdowns. I mean, barely turning the ball over, 6 interceptions just this season. So I mean, it'll be very interesting. But I think the Bills, need to have a pretty big win and like not have it close to have a pretty good feeling about the rest of the playoffs.
yeah, 100%. Next game we have is Packers at Eagles. I think that this has potential to be an upset game, but I'll let you go ahead first.
Yeah, it needs to not be an upset game, kind of like what I was talking about with the Bills. Eagles need to win this in a pretty, I'd say maybe not big way, but they need to feel good about this kind of win, especially in the wild card. They had a pretty close fight, I'd say, towards the end of the season to not have to make it into the wild card and just go straight to divisional round against the Vikings, so for that number one seed. So I mean, Saquon's been amazing this year. 2,005 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns. And then AJ Brown has had 1,000-yard season, 7 touchdowns. I mean, just it's been a great season for both teams. I think Packers definitely kind of over exceeded my expectations. So yeah, I mean, I think it should be a good game.
Yeah, I just want to get this straight. I do think the Eagles will win this game. They have
Mm-hmm.
that incredible offense. Obviously, we know all the players there: Hurts, Brown, Smith, Saquon. Obviously, just they can kind of do whatever they want whenever they want, as far as running,
Mm-hmm.
passing. Their quarterback can run. They got the whole package,
Yeah.
But I will say the Packers have one secret weapon that could help them win this game, and that is Josh Jacobs. Okay, he's had a good year this year, 301 carries for 1,329 yards and 15 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But here's the stat. When Josh Jacobs has 90-plus rushing yards, they are 4-1, and when he has 100-plus rushing yards, they are 3-0. They need to run the offense through him if they want to have a chance, because if you look at the Eagles' defense, they've had a good defense, but their run defense has ranked 15th in the last 6 weeks. So they have struggled guarding the run game in the late stretch of this season. So if they want to have any chance to win this game, which I think they can, because the Eagles beat themselves up a lot. They hurt themselves in a lot of ways. We saw it last year in the playoffs when they were going against the Buccaneers. So if they want to win this game, they have to take advantage of Josh Jacobs and let him have a big game. So that's what it's going to come down to if the Packers want a chance to win. But I do think the Eagles will win.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good take, I think.
All right. Next game we're going to talk about is the Commanders at Buccaneers. Who you got winning that one?
I think this will be probably the closest game, in my opinion. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs are pretty hot these past couple weeks, and but Jayden Daniels, front runner rookie of the year right now. Just both absolutely killing it. Baker Mayfield with an amazing 4,500 passing yards season, 41 touchdowns on 16 interceptions, but he definitely kind of cleaned those up in the past couple weeks. And Bucky Irving having an amazing year, 1,122 yards rushing and then 8 touchdowns. And then Mike Evans obviously getting his 11,000-yard receiving season. So yeah, I mean, I think the Buccaneers will win just based off like what I've been saying. This whole playoff kind of projection is this experience. Washington is a very young team. Really, the most experience they have on that team is Bobby Wagner and Terry McLaurin on both sides. So, yeah, I think Buccaneers will win it.
Yeah, I look at this game and I think that this might be the biggest offensive game in this wild card round. Both teams are very offensive heavy and struggle on the defensive end. The Buccaneers have been playing some pretty good defense the last couple of weeks, though. But I'm going to give the slight advantage to the Buccaneers. You look at the Commanders, Jayden Daniels has been absolutely phenomenal. Like you said, front runner for rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year. Terry McLaurin, that connection needs to be there going into this game. He needs to find Terry McLaurin. Yeah. Terry needs to have a big game. He needs to be scary. But another secret weapon for the Commanders lately has been Zach Ertz, the tight end. In his last 2 games, he's had 11 receptions for 116 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's been heating up as of late, and that's just a nice target to have if you're Jayden Daniels. So I expect them to take advantage of him there. The Buccaneers, though, I just see they have more experience. Baker Mayfield last year in the playoffs in the first round beat the Eagles, which was pretty impressive. Their offense has just been absolutely phenomenal. Like we've talked about, so many weapons, even with guys getting hurt. The defense needs to continue to do well, though, because that is the thing that can hurt them. If their defense does not show up in this game, they have a legit chance to lose this football game coming up. So that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day when I look at this game.
Yep.
All right. And then finally, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Rams.
This one, on paper, it looks like the Vikings should, win just based off the record. But looking at the spreads and kind of everything like that, Minnesota is only has a 1-point advantage. It's -1 and Rams are +1. So seeing that, it's like, wow, Rams really started heating up towards late in the end of the season. Everyone's kind of like, oh, Cooper Kupp wasn't really putting up the numbers like he was before getting injured last year. And then Puka Nacua was out for a pretty long time with his injury. But Sam Darnold on the Vikings, he's taking advantage of his opportunity with J.J. McCarthy getting hurt. 4,319 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. And then Aaron Jones at running back, 1,138 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Justin Jefferson, he's just going to do what he does, 1,533 yards and 10 touchdowns. I will say, though, on the offensive side of the Rams, Kyren Williams has been putting up a pretty good season, 1,299 yards and 14 touchdowns. And Puka almost got 1,000 again with having so many games off. So should be a very interesting offensive battle, like we were saying with Buccaneers and Commanders. So pretty good game for a Monday night playoff wild card game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the overall consensus of the game right now by fans is that the Vikings will just walk through the Rams. But I think, like you said, I think it's a lot closer than people are going to be saying it is. I'm going to give the Vikings the slight advantage because they're just an amazingly balanced team. They have a great offense on top of having a really solid defense. Guys like Andrew Van Ginkel this year,
amazing.
Yeah, having just a phenomenal year. My concerns for the Vikings, though, going into this playoff run, is that this is Sam Darnold's first playoff. These are his first playoff games. He's never really played in the playoffs before. He was on a team in the playoffs, but he didn't really play. You can have a great regular season, but if you've never played in the playoffs before, it wouldn't be shocking if you just did terrible. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it wouldn't be like the craziest thing we've ever seen. And another one of my concerns is they're coming off just a terrible loss to the Lions. They lost 31-9. That was a fight for getting the bye week going into the playoffs, a fight for the number 1 seed, and they got absolutely waxed by the Lions, which they are the Lions. They're the best team in football, in my opinion. But it's a concerning loss to have going into the wild card here. And those are kind of my two concerns. But I think with the amazing balance, you have the amazing offense with Aaron Jones and Jordan Addison and obviously Justin Jefferson and Sam Darnold and Hawkinson. You got a great offense there. The defense, like we've been talking about for all season pretty much, has just been unbelievable. So I think that they're really going to be able to handle the Rams. But, the Rams could pull off an upset.
They're a sneaky team.
They're sneaky. You look at this team on paper, they have a great offensive roster. You got Matthew Stafford, who's had Super Bowl experience before. You got Puka Nacua, has had a phenomenal year, although he's missed some time. You got Cooper Kupp, who's won a Super Bowl MVP, and you got Kyren Williams, who's been a phenomenal running back this year. So you look at this offense and you're like, on paper, I don't know why the Vikings are such favorites because they look like a really good team, the Rams do. And their defense needs to step up if they want to win. That pretty much comes down to any playoff game, though. You need your defense to play good if you want to win in the playoffs. So I do think the Vikings are going to win, but do not be surprised at all if the Rams pull off an upset.
Yeah. Another quick thing on the Vikings defense as well. It's not like they're huge household names. It's not like guys like what the Rams have had in the past years with like Aaron Donald and like just huge names like that. It's like Van Ginkel is the biggest name on that defense. And don't get me wrong, he's been amazing, but like he's nowhere like near some of these huge defensive names that other guys have been, talking about this whole season. So he's probably one of the most underrated defensive players, leading their playoff caliber team. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that pretty much wraps up the predictions for the wild card schedule coming up here. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Like we said, we want to start making more content. We're going to try to start uploading multiple videos a week for 2025. So just make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out any of these extra videos that we're doing. It means a lot to us. This has been a good episode. We'll be interested to see how this wild card week plays out, and we'll see you in the next episode. Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah.